Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Decided to find a spot in the shade, or at least somewhat, and sit down to do this video. My wife and I, we've been working out in the garden and the yard all day, and we're just both kind of hot and sweaty and tired, so I decided I would sit down for this one. I've got a lot of things to talk about today. Well, at least three main things. And I was gonna just pick one to make a video on, but I think they're all important, and I wanted to bring them to you because this is stuff that it's very possible that a lot of you have not heard this. I know one of them because it's a local story, but I really try. I just want to say this before I get started. I really try on here, and I know some of you may think otherwise because I hear the complaints. I really try to not be all doomsday, to not instill fear in people, and to over exaggerate things. It's something I don't want to do. I want to empower you and help in that journey at least, and take this platform that I've been given. I don't know why, but use it in a way to help people become a little bit more prepared, a little bit better ready for what's happening, both physically and spiritually, because the world is doing some rapid changes right now, and I think we're hitting a kind of a tipping point, so to speak, of things getting just really bad. That we're going to start, and we're already seeing it, okay? But I think we're going to start seeing some things that, as Americans, most Americans would never dream of happening in our country. And I think we're about ready to start seeing that. And I don't say these things to terrify you. I don't say them to cause you to panic and feel that you're just not as prepared as you need to be. You keep doing what you can do, the most that you can do. Push yourself if you have to, but we need to know these things that are going on because things are getting rough. I want to start off with something from another. I mean, they have a YouTube channel, but that's not I don't think that's their primary business. It's a type of consulting and intel type business. It's called Forward Observer. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. There's several other YouTube channels, much bigger than mine, that reference it as part of the way they collect intel. And I've been a subscriber. They have a subscription program, and I've been a subscriber there for quite a while, for several months now. And what it is, these guys are former retired Army military intelligence officers and special forces, special operations operators, and they still have contacts, and they also kind of see things because of the nature of what they've been trained to do. And so they issue these daily briefs on what's going on in the world, things that you may not even be aware of. Like I said, they still have contacts in many different countries, so it's a little bit different view of what's going on in the world. And if you're not familiar with them, I'll tell you this: they're very professional. They're not. Whether it's their daily briefings through email or their YouTube channel, they're not the type to, use scare tactics and to, tell you to get out and do this. You got to do this. They don't do it that way. It's pretty much just the facts. This is what's going on, and if you can take it, and use that intel however you want. But today was different. This is the first time I've seen this, and I'm going to read just a little bit from one of their daily briefs. And this is from the founder of Forward Observer. He says, "I rarely make recommendations in these reports. However, I want to express my concern about what I'm seeing. I have a strong sense of urgency around the food situation, as I believe challenges will last for years and could worsen substantially next year. I strongly urge you, if you haven't already, to consider ways to expand your preparedness for at least the next 1 to 3 years and potentially much longer. That might be adding to food storage, growing a garden, or building relationships with local farmers, ranchers, and homesteads. Maybe all three, as I am doing. and even before food, developing sustainable access to clean water is a top priority. Catastrophic conditions or mass starvation are not in my baseline expectations, but the era of cheap and abundant food is taking a breather. Parts of the United States could face persistent power outages this year, as some already have. Food availability will become more constrained, and a recession will complicate political, social, and obviously economic, financial, and monetary conditions. I keep an even keel when it comes to doom and gloom. I consider the alternative and recognize that things are almost never as bad as the predictions. However, I have also never believed as strongly as I do now that the disruptions to the life as usual will worsen in the years to come. Again, if you're not familiar with these guys, considering what their norm is, that's pretty serious. We're seeing this all over. I don't know if any of you watched Deep South Homestead's video a couple of days ago. I can't remember the name of the particular video, but you should go, and if you're not subscribed to Deep South Homestead, they're really good people, and they put out some good content. But he was showing how this drought is affecting them, how the heat, and they're down in Mississippi, southern Mississippi, and he said they normally get between 30 and 46 inches of rain in the spring, just in the spring where he's at, and they've gotten 17 inches so far. And the heat is it's cooking everything. Their trees are dying, their crops are dying. This is something that we have talked about for the last couple of years. This is why I have pushed people to, don't just get out necessarily out of the cities, but make sure where you're moving to is a place that has the potential. I mean, you don't have a crystal ball, you can't see the future, but as things get worse, not just politically and supply chains and stuff, but as the climate and stuff gets worse, that you have a better chance of riding that out. Unfortunately, people that live in already arid areas, you're seeing how bad it can get. So as you're making your decision and figuring out where you want to live, where you're trying to move to, make sure you find a place that isn't already a desert or doesn't look like it's getting ready to become one. This is just making things worse. This is why we have to take it serious. A little tiny garden may not be enough. I've been saying since last fall, I was telling you then to plan this year to put out the biggest garden you can, to put out the most food that you can. This year we put out the biggest garden I've ever put out at this particular property. And while it's not horrible, it's certainly not doing great. The heat and the dry is just taking its toll on it. And this week it's kind of perked up. We had a little bit of rain and a little break in the heat. The last few days it's been below 90, almost in the normal temperatures. A couple of days we were actually in that normal range. So it's kind of perked up a little bit, but they're calling for more heat next week and getting back into the dry stuff. This is why you have to, take some serious precautions and don't just think that, well, and I think Danny from Deep South Homestead said this. He said, just because you say, well, I've got a bucket full of seeds, I'll just go out there and I'll plant food. If things get bad, I'll just go out there and plant food. It may not work that way, folks. Do you have a good solid source of water? Do you have multiple? Do you have a, backup? The prepper thing, 3 is 2, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So if you only have one source of water and something happens and you lose that source of water, you might as well consider already that you have no water. And how are you going to grow things? If the temperatures are too hot or too cold or too wet or too dry, have you taken those things in consideration? Something else, today I went to there's a a hardware store, old-fashioned, old-timey hardware store, you know, the kind some of you older folks know what I'm talking about. It's the kind that everyone just kind of comes in and pulls up a chair and sits around and talks for half the day, you know. And it's just a small old-fashioned hardware store, and they also sell animal feed and stuff like that, and that's where we buy our dog food and stuff. Anyways, I went in there just to talk, and he was telling me, he's always giving me updates on how things are going from their perspective as a hardware store, and then they also farm and everything. And he said just this recent order of hardware store, you know, supplies, nails, you know, screws, pipes, fitting, you know, all that kind of stuff. The most recent order, he said the prices are skyrocketing. I don't know exactly what piece. He just said some drain pipe, or maybe maybe it was sewer pipe, I think. And I can't remember what it was, or I don't think he even told me. He said, but a year ago, their price for ordering it was $6.50 a foot. He said they tried to order some just in the last week or so, and it was $37 a foot. That's a substantial increase. He said that there are certain items that aren't big sellers in their store. He said that we're just not ordering anymore. He says, I can't afford it. He said they have gone up so drastically in prices. And he said that it's getting pretty bad. A lot of their animal feed, especially dog food and stuff, they're out, and they have no idea when they'll be able to get any in. And maybe this is just a regional thing. But the thing is I get emails almost every day from you folks telling me very similar stories. What we've been told for 2 years, that it was just a little hiccup because of this health crisis, is baloney, and you know that. And it's just going to get worse. And as bad as it is right now, and this is the thing, this is where I'm going to sound like some kind of sky is falling doomsdayer, but I'm not. I'm just trying to give you a warning. As bad as you think it is right now, I have a pretty good feeling that we haven't even gotten to bad yet. We only think it's bad right now because Americans have been used to cheap stuff, cheap prices, abundance, convenience, luxury. That's become the American way. And so because we've come off of that peak, we think things are really bad right now. And I'm telling you, they haven't gotten bad yet. I'd say next year, we're going to start seeing things get bad. And then a year or two after that, it could get really bad. I want to finish this video showing you a video clip. This guy is the chief of general staff. He's the top general for Great Britain. And this is taking the video slightly different direction, but you know what? It's all connected. You know that. He was given a talk today, so remember the video I did yesterday. If you didn't watch it, you should go see it, of how it looks like NATO is preparing, in fact, for World War III. They've increased their numbers. Their emergency response forces have been numbered 40,000, and they've rapidly increased those to 300,000. Sweden and Finland are a go. They're going to be part of NATO. Things just aren't looking too good right now. So NATO is dealing. They're meeting right now. They're having a summit of the NATO members, and at the same time, apparently there's some type of military summit of kind of military leaders and stuff as a part of NATO. So this is the chief of staff, the top general in Britain. And you should look up this speech. He gave it this morning, I believe. This is about a 30-minute long speech, and I'm only going to show you just a little snippet. The things that he says are quite eye-opening. After watching that, I'm pretty convinced that we're headed to war. In his speech, he made it a point to say that they were trying to avert war, but that they would be ready for it. And he used a lot of little key words from the World Economic Forum, and a very globalist sounding speech. But I want to play you this one little clip here, just a few seconds. And he is using a little catchphrase from the World Economic Forum. He says that, you know, what the NATO and all their armies, their troops need, you know, they need to have more advancement. They need to bring about the most advancement, technological advanced troops and equipment, which there has been talk of potentially using robotic troops on the battlefield. I can't confirm that, but that's something that I've been hearing rumors of. But then he goes on to use the words, the fourth industrial revolution. That's a Klaus Schwab thing, okay? That's a Klaus Schwab phrase that is part of this Great Reset, World Economic Forum, Agenda 2030 stuff. Folks, this is all part of their plan, okay? And to me, that right there is even more evidence that we will most likely, I mean, we're getting pretty close to being 100% assured that we're going to end up more, because I think that's what they want. That's how they want this thing to play out. It does make sense when you think about how you know, down on our knees we already are as a civilization, and then to throwing us into a major world war, it would be a perfect opportunity for them to implement more and more, to fully implement the Great Reset. But listen here what this guy says.
Deterrence demands all the tools of statecraft, underpinned by soldiers, sailors, aviators, and civil servants operating across all 5 operational domains. It requires forces across defense that are modernized, relevant, and harness the potential of the fourth industrial revolution.
If that doesn't convince you more than ever that this is just all planned out, it may not be the, you know, the complete evidence that you need, but it certainly is indicating more and more, and we get little snippets of this all the time, that this is all part of their plan. Folks, you need to be getting ready. Make it as serious as possible. Meet other people if you can. I just talked to someone last night through email that they're forming a little group down in Florida, I believe, somewhere. There's other groups. I've been getting quite a few emails from people. They're searching for people to meet with, but there's several of these emails that people are making it happen. Certainly do that. And not just stock up on things, but work on your self-sufficiency. That's a big key. I think that's going to be the make or break kind of thing on how we will be able to survive through this. And then, of course, there's the spiritual survival of getting our hearts right with the Father and His Son. Folks, get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. I think we're about to start seeing some really crazy things happen. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.